Have you ever noticed that a lot of cartoon characters only have 4 fingers? It's a strange similarity that most cartoon characters share, and when you notice it, it's hard to unsee it. I first noticed it in the 90s whilst watching The Simpsons. I thought it was very strange how they only had 4 digits. Why didn't they have 5? After all, The Simpsons are human beings, right? I mean, yeah, they are yellow, but they are human, so why don't they have 4 fingers and a thumb like we do? After I noticed this, I immediately started to notice it on so many other cartoon shows throughout the years, and here are just a few of those cartoon shows. Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Futurama, The Flintstones, Milo Murphy's Law, and Johnny Bravo, and so far I've only mentioned human characters. What about SpongeBob, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Snoopy, Garfield, and Friends, Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, and even the genie from Disney's Aladdin, who actually grows extra fingers when explaining the wish rules to Aladdin in the movie. Actually, you will find that most of Disney's animations are 4-fingered characters, apart from a few exceptions. But why is this? I mean, I'm sure that all the animators who have been and gone over the years haven't simply forgotten to add a 5th finger. Well, the main reason is it's absolutely on purpose, because it's easier to animate just 4 fingers instead of 5, and it saves a lot of time and also a lot of money, and it's kind of tradition. But there are other reasons. You see, way back in the days of early animation in the early 1900s, when cartoon characters such as Mickey Mouse and Felix the Cat started to appear, cartoon characters had a certain look about them. They were drawn mainly out of circles to once again make the animating process that much easier, and adding 5 fingers to a round palm just didn't look right. In fact, Walt Disney himself once said, if Mickey Mouse had 5 fingers, his hands would look like a bunch of bananas. So as you can imagine, back in those days when cartoons were drawn with 12 or even 24 pictures per second and by hand, to lose one more finger may not seem like a massive time saver, but to the animators it absolutely was. And it made the process so much quicker. But now, even with animation being so much easier because of modern technology, most cartoon characters still have 4 fingers, and I suppose this is now mainly down to tradition. And let's face it, I think if we added an extra finger onto some of our most iconic cartoon characters, it sure would look strange. But that's not to say it does not happen. For example, in Japan they actually add a 5th finger to the palm of many cartoon characters that have come from America or Britain or anywhere where they use a 4-finger animation style, even changing the box art on certain merchandise. But why do they do this? Well, in Japan, 4 fingers can suggest that you were part of the Japanese mafia, the Yakuza, who would have their little finger cut off as a form of punishment or apology. So, of course, the Japanese want to sever this connection between the mafia and Bob the Builder as much as possible.
No, but, oh, okay, that's, whoa, hey!
You may have also noticed that some of our favourite characters in Japanese anime also have 5 fingers. Another reason for this is due to the number 4 being unlucky in Japan, and the word for the number 4 in Japanese is shi, which is also the same pronunciation as death. So they try and avoid the number as much as possible, and that's why some of your favourite anime characters have 5 fingers. But that's not to say that a few Japanese animated characters haven't slipped through the cracks throughout the years. Take Astro Boy for example. In early cartoons he started off with 4 fingers, but in later cartoons he was given 5 fingers. Even in the CGI movie that came out in 2009, that was produced in Hong Kong, Astro Boy still had 5 fingers. Moving away from Japan now, there are other reasons why your favourite cartoon characters only have 4 fingers. Take the uncanny valley, which is a concept that explains why we may feel uneasy when we see something that has tried hard to replicate humanoid emotions such as an animation, but somehow does not look right and it just looks off. The most obvious example in my mind is in blockbuster movies where they try and make an actor look younger with the use of CGI. It never quite looks right. In the movie Terminator Salvation, they did a CGI T-800 Terminator with the likeness of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a few years later in another movie they did it again, and I remember being quite impressed, but there was something not quite right about it. But the character was a cyborg, so I kind of forgive it. But in the Star Wars movie Rogue One, they actually attempted to bring an actor back from the dead. That actor was Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin, and as impressive as that was, it was still a little unnerving to say the least. For me, it's always in the eyes. Many say that the uncanny valley can also be included with animated characters. If you take a character such as Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck and give them a human looking hand with 5 fingers, well, it just doesn't look quite right. The 4-finger aesthetic is so much more appealing to the eye. That being said, there are many other animated TV shows out there where the characters do have 5 fingers. It's definitely a creative choice. But when it comes down to it, most cartoon characters are still drawn with the traditional 4 fingers, and I think that is what it comes down to nowadays: tradition. We now live in a world where cartoons can be churned out pretty fast with the help of computer animation, so adding one more finger wouldn't be a big deal. But let's admit it, if the Simpsons, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, SpongeBob and so on were given an extra finger, I think it would look a little strange. Just like it did when we noticed that they only had 4.